Alright, hey folks, how's it going? On this fine Sunday, let's try to get a view here. Yeah, that'll work. For now, until I mess with it. Alright, so today was going to do some more rocketry work. I finally have the glue that I want to continue on, so that would basically be the next step in getting going. Um, Once I see some people in chat, if that happens, then I'm going to ask about how loud I sound. Because if you've seen previous ones I've done out here, you notice that this guy is new. And it's a cheap stand thing that I bought, and a cheap webcam for doing the close-up view, which you see down here. And I figured instead of having the microphone pick up way over there, have it pick up right here. So I can see that it looks like it's going into the red some. I might as well actually just give that initial bump down. See how that goes. Because, I mean, I'm going to be close to it, so it's probably going to be reaching up there no matter what. But someone can always tell me that I'm too quiet. Nothing wrong with being too quiet, right? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Right now it's all staying within the green, bleh, upper part of the green. So, um, first thing we're going to do is basically get the motor mount for our rocket inside the airframe. And I'm not doing the last centering ring yet. Um, that will be worked on after some other stuff is done. But you can see that I've done some work with this guy. This little clip here is what's going to be used to keep the motor in the rocket during the ejection charge. And basically, due to height and trying to place this thing properly so I can reinforce it very well. I found a longer screw and then just um, what's the word? Uh, Built it up using washers. So, the whole idea would be to keep I could probably take and glue all these things together and make it one piece or something like that. But for right now, about 6 washers rising this piece up with a longer bolt. That'll make it so I can put this ring farther up the motor mount tube, which will allow me to apply more glue on both sides of it, which will ultimately make it stronger. So that'll be some later work. Then so getting the glue on this guy, we'll get it in the airframe, and then spinning around for a little bit, but try to get the glue to distribute around it, and yeah, rock and roll. So I've been using this little thing that I guess people that do the epoxy projects for like tables and all that. It's supposed to be like a mold type thing. It works all right. It pulls out most of the glue off of it. Doesn't Some of it does stick, but it does seem to rub off. So it might be a for a rainy day to try to clean that up some more. But today I thought about with the amount that I'm going to mix up, this would probably be a little not enough. So I was going to try using this little cup deal and mix up a good batch because actually, if I do my cards right, I might be able to get this thing done too. So, thinking about that, let's try that. So, just in prep for this thing, make sure that the glue has a little bit something more to stick to. I'm going to take and go around just some quick sanding, just roughing up the inside. Not not even worrying about trying to make it smooth or anything, just roughing it up. That will have the little tiny abrasions and mix and everything inside of this will help the glue adhere in and around and everywhere else. So, and that right there, and then really it's just a matter of eyeballing where this thing is at in here. And it's, you know, 1/4 inch is pretty good, 3/8 of an inch, and that allows us to get a real good set of glue going around in here. And whenever that dries, then we'll turn it upside down and drop more in it. The eye hook, I already put blue Loctite on the threads and got this thing all tightened up. Blue Loctite, it's something that basically it's a, as it sounds, it prevents a nut from working itself back off. But it's not a permanent solution. So if you had, you know, proper tools with leverage, you could get that nut loose and take it apart if you have to. This will probably ultimately get covered in epoxy anyway, so it should be pretty well set to have done what it's going to have done. So just get that in position. Again, I'm just eyeballing it. It does not have to be an exact measurement here, but it would also help if I actually kept it in the freaking tube. And if you wanted to get something exact, something that I've done in the past is taken like my square and say, all right, I want this to be, you know, say we went 3/8 of an inch. Tighten this guy down, get that guy kind of seated in there, and then just go all the way around the edge like this, and that would push it to that length. So some of this spot I'm actually a little low on. Yeah, that's good. So we'll just let that guy sit over here for a moment. I don't need this for a while. All right, so getting ready for our epoxy fun time. So we want this stuff to stay in while we work with it. So the best way of doing this is by turning it into a small bowl. And you just use some painter's tape for that. Just go around the deal. Bam. Now, another reason why I don't have the very bottom ring on is whenever I get the bottom fins in, I want to be able to apply additional glue after they've been placed. So that allows me to actually reach in there and get those done. Not too concerned with these ones. They're more, I don't know if they actually do anything for stability or if they're just more show, but you know, once they're tacked on, I'll do gluing on the airframe to them to help keep them together. But the main fins, adding additional reinforcement is always a good thing. All right, so let's get some resin flowing here. Good old brand new bottles. The nice thing is that there's little measurements on this thing, so if I actually am able to see, which I'm not, all right, that's a good bit of epoxy in there. There's even markings on the bottle themselves, but it's easier to see it with this since it has kind of an amber color to it. That one I brought down to right about the second or third mark. That's just shy of the 20 mark here. So that's, I'm assuming, yeah, it's milliliters. So we'll just fill it up to just shy of 40. Let's see, where does that bring us? Well, we're close. That's good. It's actually a little bit of a little extra hardener in there. So then we'll take our bit here and stir it all up. Get that good and stirred up, and then simply we're just gonna go ahead and drop a blob all the way around it. Kind of loop it up to stop it. And get it going again. Drop that over there. A little bit of a mess made there. That's alright. Then let's grab this guy. That's the nice stuff about this is, and it's the reason why I wanted it, it's 30 minutes. So I have 30 minutes of work time approximately before this stuff starts to set. So that gives me time to spread it around. It gives it time to flatten out due to gravity and how things are positioned and all that. I don't have to rush. Whenever you mix up a big batch of 5-minute epoxy, well, depending on what you're doing, you might have a bit of a rush. And that's never fun, trying to rush something. Go ahead, try to get all this that we can out of here. And you see it's from the up close camera, you can't see them. Hopefully from the top one there, this stuff's basically running off of the popsicle stick. And just from the excess that I got out of here, probably could have mixed a little bit bigger of a batch, but I think what I got going on here is just fine. If not, then ultimately I'll be building another rocket. And on that, I just have to say, darn. So I'll sling this guy over here real quick, bring him back around. It's reversed from what I'm doing, so as you can see, hopefully you can see it, but there's epoxy all around in here. And I'm just going to move it around, just the way it's covering. Think of like maybe applying oil to a cooking pan. You know, you're just getting it covered, and then it's going to kind of resettle and flatten out to where it wants to go based upon, you know, level and all that good stuff. But, you know, basically get this whole top covered. Just like that. I got some dripping going on from up top here on the motor mount. That's no problem. And just on the eye bolt here, there's just the tiniest little gap in there. And so I'm just working some of this glue around to see if any of it will run down into that, because that just helps make everything kind of one piece. But so there, we basically have a good layer of epoxy on top of this entire ring, and well, that should hold everything in place pretty good. And once that's good and dry, we'll again mix up another batch and turn it upside down and clean it up that way. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing up here on this guy. We're just going to try to get things spread out close to the edge. You know, making sure it's all coming around. Everything's getting touched. So just kind of spread it around. You know, gravity will kind of figure itself out in terms of, you know, what side gets a little bit more than the other and all that. We just want to make sure that we're getting it to the edges. And the same up here. And I'm also just going to take and try to bring some glue up to the very base of the eye hook here. There. And that's going to be a little bit harder to see here, but still, same deal. You see the glue's all over the place. Fun times. So, just spreading it around, trying to make sure that it's going to get everywhere that it can get. Alright. So now, the fun part. Now, I have a question to ask myself. So right about here, the shot cord that's ultimately going to be used gets put through this eye hook. So the question becomes, do I attach that now and run it up through the tube as part of this process, or do I attempt to shove my hand down in here to work it through? And that's going to come to about here. And my hand, I think, is reaching right about here. So I think we're going to take a good old-fashioned leap of faith. And that is to go ahead and try to get the shot cord attached to the motor mount. Which it's this stuff, it's I don't even know what the hell it's made out of off the top of my head, to be honest with you. It's basically it's flame proof to a degree. Holds up pretty well. I think it's just strapping. It's not tubular nylon or anything like that. Now the hard part is the way to really do this, that where it's all part of this, is to get all this through this little loop. So to do that, we're gonna have to basically send the whole thing out, and we're gonna bring it through just like so. Then get the other end, sit, and loop it through. Easy boy. See, this thing's anxious. And we'll just cinch it down. Now, so then the big question is, well, how do you keep this thing out of the way? Well, the best way of doing that, in my opinion, is to take and basically shove it into the motor mount. We'll have to do this a couple times probably, just because of fit and all that. Because we're wanting to make sure this thing stays out of the glue. take and work up a little bit more. Yeah, actually, you know what? We're just going to leave it like that. Because now what we'll do is we'll bring this cord and drop it down into the tube. Like so. And now, let's get this on. Sit. Good boy. Alright, we're going to have this over my shoulder. And basically, it is peel the tape off and slide it down. And the same thing here. Peel the tape off. And all the way down. Alright. So now, I'm going to get our gooey tape out of the way. Find a rag. Use this rag. Good oiled up rag. So we have our motor mount now inside this airframe. Now what you could do, and I'm going to do it, for just to help it, is try to pick up any excess that might be on your work area. But hold your rocket like so, and there's actually a little bit on the base here. Just try to squeeze some of that off, you know. Get that back where I want it, which is right there. So now what we can do is simply just take and hold it at an angle and slowly rotate it. And so what this epoxy is still not cured, not even close. I mean, it's been what, 10 minutes maybe? So we still have a while of work time to go. And so by turning this, it's moving off of those rings and hitting the airframe. So and then we'll do this all the way around, and then we'll stand it back up straight, and then it will run down and spread out again. And that's how it all will adhere to the airframe, with, you know, getting a good layer of that, you know, gradual up and down versus just straight across and touching. And actually, you can see the motor mounts falling out. It's trying to do a sneaky on me. You know, a little rotisserie action doesn't hurt anybody. And of course, you know, the more that you lean it, the more extreme that it would run. So it actually would be a little faster. But, and you can't see, so you just got to take, you know, your best guess. Well, I could look at the top, I suppose, and see how that kind of looks once I do this. Take a look. Yep, it's definitely made its way around in some areas. It looks like it could use some more this way. So let that sit like that for a second. But yeah, it's very much still able to be moved. You can see I can pull the motor mount out. I can then push it forward to try to make, you know, little ridges and help adhere, stuff like that. But ultimately, when I pull this thing back, whenever I put this thing upright, I was putting the motor where I want it, which is flush with the bottom, and then it'll sit there for a while. that's pretty good. So I'll just bone back this out a little bit. And you could also twist it to change it a little bit as well. You know, just kind of move glue around and all that fun stuff. And then with that, I'm going to set this guy right on over here to continue drawing. And once he's good and dry, well, then it'll be time to move on to fin work, which will be this pile of stuff right here. And this dude, no glue ran through, he's just going to sit for just as long. I mean, he's loaded up. You can kind of see the shine of the epoxy on there. So just move him up out of the way, which really over here can be up and out of the way, because he will go into this part eventually. I'm not going to make a permanent connection into here. I'm going to basically put all this tube with about that much sticking out, and then it'll come up about here this far into the tube, and I'll put rivets, 4 rivets around it. That way I can pop the rivets out and change the configuration of the rocket at a future date if I decide to. So, but once that glue is set, then we'll actually do a launch for the rail buttons that I put on it. Have to get a straight line on that, which I'm going to show with this little guy, since we're kind of done with this point for a little while, so we might as well start working on our V2 again. Which means I'm going to go back to the instructions for this guy, because sometimes you just need them. Basically, the steps that we're on right now is to get the shot cord for this thing put onto this tube, and then get it glued together. And yeah, we can follow their steps. We'll do that. There are instructions in there for a reason, right? So inside this doohickey is, if anyone's ever built a model rocket, you might know of the little cheap elastic bands that comes with these things. So that's what we got here. And really, sometimes they want you to like fold it up into a piece of paper and then you glue it to the side of the tube and all that. In this one, they actually want you to pop it into a little slit on the motor mount here. See that little slit right there? Pop it in there and then knot it, which that'll work just fine. And you know, don't gotta dink around with trying to glue one of these things. That's always good, especially because you can bring it out here and do some work on it. It gives you some room. Might as well make it so you can see what I'm doing here. And they said double knot it. 2 knots. Yep. Well, I got enough of an excess. I'm going to do a 3rd one because I can. So take that. I just violated your instructions. Going to have the rocket police coming after me now. Alright. I don't care about... I probably could cut the excess off. Just keep it out of the way. We don't need you. And then we just cinch it up. Professional right there. Good stuff. So now, fun stuff. We've done our part there. We got to bring this through the body tube. Then they want us to put some glue up in the body tube. They don't say how far. So, let's see. You know, we're going to do it. You know how we're going to do it? We're going to do it just like how we did the other one. That's how we're going to do it. So we're going to take our shot cord, bundle it up. This time I'm going to take all of it. And go ahead and just get it all shoved in here, just like that. All right. Because I can use a little stick or something and push it out after the fact. And so what the instructions basically say is take our tube, put some glue around here, some glue around here. They actually tell you to do it up in here, which is stupid. You know, well, you're going to put some glue in here and then reach up in there and put some more glue in there? I mean, you could, but that's a pain in the ass. Might as well put glue around here, and shove it up in there. And then this, and in addition to that, this only goes in so far. That's the other thing where it's like, you know, why don't you give some freaking measurements? Some of that info would be pretty nifty. So we'll put a little bit in. We'll get this started. We'll get some on here, some on here. We'll get it started to here, and we'll get it on there, and then we'll adjust as we need to adjust. And that should work out beautifully. Should. Alright, so for this, I'm coming back to good old batches of 5-minute epoxy, because it's a model, it's not a high-powered rocket, it's a, it's a Estes kit, and for the strength of a 5-minute epoxy, it's more than enough. I got plenty of it. I've had this bottle turned upside down to try to get the rest of it out, which I have about, well, that much, if you can see. Yeah, there's a shot of it. There's a little bit left. I have definitely more of the resin. Resin runs more, so it's down at the bottom faster. The hardener does. But we'll make up a decent little batch of this, because they want it on the plastic as well. You know what? Something they don't tell you to do, I'm going to do it, excuse me, is I'm going to sand this edge just to make abrasions on it. It just makes it so that the glue is going to stick better to the surface. You know, think of it like paint. If you have a very smooth, shiny, even surface, you put a layer of paint on it, right? What can you do once that paint's dry? You know, it might take a little bit of work, but it is, you can, take a fingernail or something like that and just scrape it and it'll come off. But it might be a little bit more work if the surface was abrasive. So that way the paint can, get in nooks and crannies that are, just the tiniest little things, And so we're going to do that to this thing. It just helps get into the material to create that better bond. Yeah, and I don't know if it'll get picked up on the camera or not, but there's just, in the direction I stand, there's just little tiny scuffs. And those little scuffs, they can actually add strength to your glue. So, alright, we got our resin. We can sit here and get a good pile of this made. I'm actually going to call it right here and right now that I'm going to make too much of this batch. Don't need all that. But that's okay. I have more 5-minute epoxy. I think that's close enough. The hardener will still make it get hard, even if you have less. It'll just take longer, especially if you did a good job of mixing it all up. And for yucks, since it's, well, I got 100 of these stupid things, I'm gonna use a brand new popsicle stick. So we'll take our glue here and just get it all mixed up. Lop it around, swirl it around, all that good stuff. Put glue up in two. Yeah. Make it harder for people. Alright. Over here. That should be plenty. So, we're just going to go ahead and start and just getting a big glob of this stuff, right? Scoop it all up on here. Since it is 5 minutes, we do want to work a little quickly here. And let's get our globs for up top. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do the world record for gluing right here. There. So, take and slide this onto here. Just start it. And lay that bad boy down for just a second here while I take and spread some glue, well, the rest of this glue actually, mixed up just the right amount it looks like, and get this spread around here. Make it all the way around? Sure did. Alright. Raise up to the top here. And this is going to come in like so, and then squish it all together. And turn it around. Because this thing was laying on its side, I'm going to go ahead and do this number to it, because I can see, you might be able to see it in there, but the glue went up all on the top side, and we need it to run down to the bottom. But even then, there is a good bit of excess on the side of the tube here. So I'm just going to take my popsicle stick and scrape off some of the excess. Got that. Then I'm going to try to glue it up here and just drop it into the top here. Just a little extra. Not going to hurt nothing. Then I'm just tapping the edge of the popsicle stick. My finger's in the way. Let's see if I can work out the angle. Yeah. I'm just punching the stick right there into the corner of the airframe to try to get the glue right up against there. And let it spread around a little bit. Just making sure that it's everywhere. And it is. It is everywhere. Then we'll take our dandy rag and do some additional cleanup. There. And there we have it. And so we have that in there. Can I use that to just getting a seat in there? Because on the bottom of this, I don't want to turn it right now. I'll put glue on the bottom inside this piece near the very end as reinforcement. After the fins are on, we'll put the fins on. They'll get all sealed up, and then we'll put glue on the bottom because the fins will help hold all that in. But now, because this thing has the mortar retainer in there, we need to be able to stand it up somehow. Do I have something to stand it with? That's a little too short. What can I use? Oh. Perfect. Secondary use for a miter saw. So, the engine mount has been installed. We already got the fins out. So the fins are going to be the next steps. Those will be a little interesting. But then you'll get to see my freshly installed fancy launch line assembly machine, something like that. So, I mean, all rockets have a mechanism to help guide them when you launch them. So people use an item called a launch lug. A launch lug could be any tube, basically. So like this, the model rocket comes with a little piece like this, and you would put this on a guide rail to launch your rocket. You want this to be straight. Other rockets use rail buttons, which they sound exactly as they are, which instead of it being a rod, so you put a rod through a tube for your guide, these ones are rails where it's actually a slot, and you use something like this. Gotta get my directions correct. So this part here, see, this is a nylon rail button. So this would sit on against the rocket. This would be the top part screwed in, and this would slide into a slot on a rail. And you put two of these on. So I mean, that's how you're going to get something straight. I mean, if you have one rail button, there's a pivot point. So I mean, the rocket would do this on the rail. So if you have two, then they both keep it straight. That's going to be going on to some other rocket in the future, because this kit came with rail buttons. So I'll get those put on at some point. That'll be some steps farther down. The 5 minute is getting close. It's turning into still pliable, still soft, but it's starting to set up. As you can see here, it's kind of becoming goopy, I guess is a way of putting it. Yeah, goopy. Yeah, it's starting to become something here. You can see now it's actually, and it's so that's the thing. This stuff's kind of neat. You mess with it, you're playing with it, and all of a sudden, bam, it's set. Sometimes a little bit more than what you expect for the timing, but if you dump more hardener, you're supposed to mix this stuff in equal parts. So if you put more hardener in versus the amount of resin, it's going to cure faster. So that's where it's my opinion, it's always a little better to, if you don't know you have exact equal parts, go a little less on the hardener. Just that way you don't ruin the amount of work time that you have. And you see all that? That's all, it just all of a sudden turned into that. So, goodbye, popsicle stick. We hardly knew you. Got crap all over my workspace. That's all right. This workspace was an island in the kitchen whenever I bought this house. And we tore it out to make it an open kitchen. And I was like, well, I want to keep it because I can't bang, I can bang some stuff on this, countertop, but it's not, something real heavy, going to town on something. And I got a metal workbench over here, just 2x4s framed up with a, I want to say it's a 3/4 inch plate, steel plate on it. So, I can beat the shit out of anything. It's not going to damage that top at all. Let's see another stick and let's check our glue up in here, which is starting to get sticky. It's not very runny. You can see it still comes out very stringy. So it's making progress. Not like the 5-minute stuff. That stuff's quick. So we'll let it sit for a while longer. And I don't know if we'll actually start working on some fin stuff today or not. We might. If you notice, there's a drawer behind me. Someone, either my wife or my kid, no one's giving me a straight answer, but they yanked the drawer got pinched, popped off track, something, and their reaction to was, well, something's wrong. Instead of figuring out what was wrong, it was yank on it. That's my guess. It's only a guess. And so it basically separated to one side, and I put that back together. I don't have wood clamps long enough for the width of the drawer, so I'm actually using my some tie-down straps in lieu of that. And, basically just reseated the staples in it and added some wood glue to help bind the things together. Alright, so let's look at this guy. Let's see what we got going on with him. If I really wedged on this thing, I could probably still twist it. It's actually very warm from the glue. The reaction of the glue, it makes heat, and I can feel that through the tube, so that's kind of fun. But if you look in here, it's a little yellowish looking. So actually, I think I had a little more hardener than resin going on in here, but it is going all around. And that's a solid sound, and it's still a little tacky. And a little tacky is exactly what it is, but it is pretty well in its spot. Now, because I got glue all around this thing, it's a little dirtied up. Definitely has my fingerprints on it, so it can be traced back to me. But I wanted to see if I could actually take and sand some of this real lightly to help clean it up. And really, that just is going to help also with working on the fins to put a good, strong glue job for them. Might as well hit the whole tube because that will also help with the paint job. All right. You can wipe this all off. Just clean up excess junk. That's good. Good, good, good. Hey, look, there's my pencil. So now, what we can do with this bad boy is the launch lug line. This is the line that I thought used as a guide to attach this to the body. Real simple. You do this with all rockets regardless of their size, unless it's something that just snaps together and you don't have to do the figuring. But basically you want a straight line, you want it in between the fins, and one recommended method is using a door jamb. So you would basically take this up to the corner of a door, hold it up, and well, I'm not going to walk over there and use that door. I used that door once, and I could tell just from looking at it that that door has a warp in it. So, warp! So what I did this morning before starting this was I made a fancy launch lug line maker. So I can take this rocket, I can take, big rocket there, and make my line. So I know this piece here is going to be a pain in the butt with the motor retainer right there. So I'm going to work on the opposite side, right? I'm going to go for this part right here. So just looking between the two fins, a fin would go here, a fin would go here. I want something right here. Right about in the middle. Doesn't have to be exact. Close is good. But now what I can do is hold this up, hold my pencil up, and line up my initial mark. Now once I have that, I can just go hold the pencil up against the piece of wood, and bam. Now I have, can you see it? I have my line. Twist right there. Good straight line. I can follow the whole thing. What's up, Figgy? How you doing, man? So let me go ahead and twist this guy back this way. So far, so good. I don't know if you caught it, but I was just talking about how either the wife or the kid decided to get a little strong with one of the kitchen drawers. So I got that back over there gluing and drying right now. I fixed that up and then went and this got done doing a lot of glue work. So basically I just joined this whole thing together. You can see there's a mount inside there with a shot cord shoved inside the tube. That's all been securely affixed to this frame here. It's been all sanded up. We're pretty much getting ready to start applying fins to this body. And I can't stand it up because of the little hook deal, but can it stand there? Hey, look at that. So, but then I got this guy done this morning, and it was basically some of the same thing. I'm not ready to really move this around. The glue is still curing. It still has it actually probably doesn't have that much of a wiggle to it, but a little bit. You can see I'm holding this and it went to drop. So it's not holding quite yet, but I mean, I can show. But down inside here, if it can catch the light right, actually just get this damn thing out of the way. And come on, light, get in there. It's a little hard with a bigger tube, but in there, same deal. Whole bunch of glue got put on, and just waiting for that all to dry. Once that's dried, then I'll be able to start putting the fins on. But you know, this thing's actually it's actually dry enough. I'm gonna do the same damn thing. Patented. This is a patented launch line maker. This is basically the line that I'm putting on is for what would guide the rocket from either a rod or a rail. You know, you can't just set these things on the ground and launch them. There's no control. They have to be guided until they're under power. So, you know, roughly, I'm just gonna. It does not matter which side I pick, but the um, parachute's over here, so let's go over here. There was no rhyme or reason to that. That's what I'm deciding. So I'm just making a general mark right here. And then, same thing as before, just bring this around till I match it up on here. And then, basically, I can got myself a good straight line on this thing. There's a little bit of crookedness up there, but for what's going on this guy, there'll be one down here and one right about here. Actually, there'll probably be one, it might be here, here, here. It don't matter, but that's where they're going to go. And that is good enough for what this is. I'm not launching a person in it, so it doesn't have to be super exact, but the closer it is, the better. And just as a learning thing, it is against rocketry rules to launch anything inside of a rocket that has a vertebrae. Worms are okay. Haven't done it, but anything that has a cartilage or bones or anything, that's how they state it. So you can't shove your kid into a large rocket as much as you might want to, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, we're just gonna let that guy go over there. You know, today is Sunday. You know, let's get this launch lug put on. They didn't even say to do that at this point. No, that's like 2 steps ahead. Wouldn't hurt nothing, it's not in my way. Yeah, let's wait. I see what they're doing here. That's actually pretty smart. Pretty smart to wait. It's going to be a next thing I want to do. I have to run in the house to get some warm water. But it's need to try attempt number 2 of the decal for this other rocket over here, so I can get that whole thing clear coated, and then it will be ready for launch. So we're going to take this guy, set him over there, parachute and all that sits there. We'll pretty much need that. We have our fins right here. I had already cut these out the other day, cleaned them up, all that good stuff. So just see if they fit, because I still might need to do some cleanup or adjustment to the holes. Like this one wants to go, then it doesn't. There it goes. See, it just had to be convinced. There's one. I sanded this whole thing up at this point. So, I mean, all along the plastic here and everything, it has little scratches on it. And that all helps the glue adhere. But for putting these things on, what you really start off with doing is you put a layer of glue on the bottom, and then you pop the thing in. We'll go ahead and mix up a little bit of glue. And For this little guy, I've been using the 5-minute stuff because you don't have to wait forever. Instead of the bottle stuff like I just used before, I'm just going to use this little bit of my tube of Gorilla Glue here, because then I can just squeeze this thing out. And a lot easier, but only need a tiny bit. And that's actually more than plenty. I'm probably going to shotgun 2 of these together in one batch. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's see. It's 11 o'clock. Holy crap. Fig, what's the emissary today? What's the reward for that? Have you gotten on and seen yet? Honor bound. All right. So then it's just a honor bound piece of equipment then at that point, right? Or does it like specifically state anything? Yeah. So just a chance of getting a weapon. All right. In fact, I don't think I want to glue right there. Take that off. Where's my handy dandy rag? All right. So we're going to take and get this guy in here. All right. All right. Now, this is where it's going to get a little fun. I'm going to take this guy, just set him there so he's like so. We're going to grab some more glue real quick. There, up the front side. Down here on the bottom, sides. Side stuff will just run down and help make a connection inside of the tube. And then, yeah, we can stop it right there. All right, so it's all good and got a bunch of glue on there. Then we're going to take and throw this guy right into here. Actually, real good fit. I love it when it works out like a real good fit. Then here's a fancy spacer. Basically hold it here, and I can lift this up with my bottom fingers, and that gives me the proper angle that these things should be resting at. So they're probably going to fall in their current set. And actually, this guy needs to have a little bit of a cleanup. He's running down over here. That's fine. Here in a minute, we're going to just keep checking this. Because as this glue starts to set, then it will be a little bit more, you place it and then it'll stay. And that's kind of why I wanted to do 2 at once here real quick. I guess I can hold the thing down here where it's actually in the camera view. So I'm using this as a guide, putting it up against the tail of the rocket here, and just using my thumb and middle finger to push the fins up. And I can take and, once it gets a little bit too small, it starts changing here, but basically you bring up till this thing is touching both corners. We just sit here and wait for a second, minute. Whenever you're sitting there holding this stuff, it feels like it takes forever. But that's the nice thing about 5-minute epoxy. It should be about 5 minutes. Using longer, well, it'll get boring really quick having to stay like this for 30, 40 minutes. I tell you what. I would do it. I'd figure out some other way. But we're basically just tacking these things in place. I mean, technically, if I had like probably super glue, that could have worked just as fine. 1 minute epoxy, yeah. For doing one at a time, yeah, that's fine. Trying to do two, yeah. Stick with the 5. But honor bound, huh? Well, it's a weapon chance, so that's gonna have to definitely go for that and do that. I am definitely hurting for weapons on my Demon Hunter and DK at this point. I did the Veil World Boss this morning on my DK and got a ring, so that was cool. That was a decent upgrade. And did Soulbinder in Nazjatar, got crap. It's weapons, man. They really cheat you, make you work for a weapon. Still movable. Let's come back here. Yep. Still super soft. That's all right. 5 minutes or so. That's a good spot to hold this, so just keep on holding. And this thing's pretty close to being done. 2 more fins. A little extra glue on the butt. Yeah. It'll be ready for paint. I'll probably do the same thing as I've done for the other rocket. I'll draw a little mock-up of it and ask DJ to pick out the colors for it. Then I'll paint it as he decided. Still pretty slick. Wonder if this Gorilla Glue is more like 10-minute epoxy. I imagine we've been more than 5. That's alright. It's a Sunday, we got all day. For the most part. There's other stuff I want to do today. Like play video games. Might bust the guitar out. I haven't actually played that in like a week and a half or so. Probably be good to stretch the fingers. Yeah, holding that piece of paper, man, I can feel that in my hand. Damn. I'm gonna need a new hand. Yeah, this stuff's still pretty runny. Sets in 5 minutes. Liar. Unless it's been 4.5, then maybe that's also. Oh yeah, which one did you get? The RAM or the Kodo? Nice. Yeah, I got the Kodo yesterday morning, so I just need the I believe it's, I don't have the RAM. So, and Chris has gotten the RAM twice. So, it's still there. So that was one thing I was probably going to do today is just on all my characters from, and hop on and do that. And I really don't know if the loot changes, if it's like kind of set for a count or if it's per character. But it sure does seem like, one character gets some, if you like you log into a character and you get something, then the rest just get like the currency. But that could just be the way it seems. It's starting to thicken up. Come on. It could also be it's taking a good time to drop off of that. It's kind of holding its shape. It's still giving in to good old gravity. We're close. Just trying to get to a point where I can let go of this fucking thing. And it stays where I want it to stay. Just continuing the hold. Using their fancy tool. I think the lesson here is to use my other stuff because it seems like it sets faster. We're at 115. I think it's been like 13, 10, it's been 10 minutes, I think. I don't think the stuff's running. But this isn't the only glue that goes on. This is just setting it. And basically kind of trying to hope that it actually gets glued well enough that it stays in place. Because then we'll drop glue along the sides of it to adhere it to the airframe. A little thicker yet. Still movable though. It's getting close. In actuality, I don't think it is moving. So I'm just going to continue to hold it. Try to get this kink out of my hand. There's 2 more fins to go. Yeah, this thing is really close. And there's a little bit of glue work, which is an interesting thing. It's interesting because I had to do the same thing to my large one of this. But it's way heavier. Way heavier. Getting better. You know what? Do I will work. And just to give it some weight on the front there. There. That's good. Bring that a little bit more in line with that view there. Yeah. All right. Let's just go ahead and check this again. That looks good to me. And yep, it's pretty close to being set. It's all kind of turned into a big pile of goop. It's at the stage where it's not hard, but it's so sticky that you can't even work with it. That's all right. So that'll take a few more minutes, and then probably be safe to start turning those around. Actually, it's probably safe now, but another minute or two won't hurt it. Because then having it, see it, I think you actually will have enough height with these to keep doing this. Because since there's 4 fins going on, it'll be, cross. But I'll be able to brace this thing up to where I have it like this, and I'll put a fillet of glue right here and here at the same time. And with it being at a 45, that glue will spread down like so. And that will be what adheres the fins to the actual airframe much more than what they are right now. Yeah, we got ourselves a good gumball of this stuff right now. So as long as we are careful, we should be able to adjust. Just do that. Bring them closer together. All right. That's good. The fins are both clear of the wood. I could bring it like so. Just getting this little nodule right here pointing straight up as a reference. But, I mean, another thing I could do is just have the next fin be straight up and down, kind of set it in. That 30-minute stuff is very much set. So that's cool, as it just took half my hand off with it. That's one thing. I need to check. I do. Yay! Good old bottle of acetone. This can has been around since God who knows how long. Dries the shit out of your hands, but cleans all that glue off really well. All right. Another way that we have available for that 30-minute set, we can look at this dude that goes into this part of the rocket here, which this camera is not where it belongs. And more. I know I have that one rocket. That works. Still tacky. I see my fingerprint on it now, but I can put the edge here. You can hear the sound difference. That's pretty well cured. Changes a little bit, but that's pretty close to being held down. I mean, the glue's not going to run anymore. It will stay in place. So then this dude will get turned upside down, and a whole nother glob will get put in the bottom of it, and then this this chunk of plywood and this eye hook is not going to go anywhere. What's up, Brewmore? You want to play with my rocket? So you're aware. The supervisor just came in. I know what you're doing here.
Making sure you're doing it right.
Damn. Getting schooled. Well, you put it out here with the rest of your crap. So, yeah, motor mounts inside that guy. Coupler's done. This is motor mounts inside here. All the bodies attached and everything. So, moving right along. Acting like you're in high school. So right now what I'm trying to decide on is if I want to try doing two fins here at the same time again to get all four done, or do one at a time. Because they give you basically this handy dandy little spacer tool.
Mm-hmm.
But the handy dandy spacer tool, here, does it actually, you want to check here too.
Just do one at a time.
One at a time, she says. Okay, boss. Whatever you say there, boss. But I used the Gorilla Glue last time, and it seemed like it took forever. So we're going to use this. I'm going to get this set here upside down so it starts running. I can get a little bit of resin out on here. I do believe I was correct whenever I talked to you about they use like Vaseline or something on these things. Then the epoxy goes on top of that, and it cleans off, but you have to to really clean it off. You're gonna have to scrape the hell out of it.
Yeah, I played with it a little bit.
Just a little bit of epoxy there. Gorilla Glue, it's like a consistency of gum right now. That's with a G. What's the kid up to?
Eating lunch.
Cool. Rest of the tacos?
No, he ate that this morning. What are you talking about? He's eating chicken nuggets.
Good for him.
And Cheetos.
So yep, still on the fins set up here. I need to see if Dad has some rivets, because I don't, for the putting that into the airframe. But all right, one at a time. So problem with one at a time is actually I need something a little taller than what I got. Another chunk of 2x4 would be actually I got what I need. Kind of like a ship, right? Running away?
Yeah.
All right, see you later.
I'll chat back with you in a few hours.
All right. Cool. Actually, even neater. There. All right. So how does that look there? Yeah. Slide it over some more. There we go. Think that's an all right look? I do. This stuff run down yet? Barely. This thing is just about empty. I think we got enough for this fin, and that's it for this bottle. Might not even have enough in this bottle. As you can tell, there's this much left in this bottle, so you can tell I use more hardener usually. Yeah. So what you up to, Brewmore? Come on, you blue bastard. You know what? This might be futile. Yeah, and I am not dicking with this. Alright. Thank you for serving your purpose. Back to the gorilla. A little alt play on WoW. Alt play. So is that your warlock? I'm getting some glue along the bottom of this fin. Come on, you fin bastard. Cool. So if you've decided to your what about your priest? Giving up on that or second alt for the priest? Since I know you have history with your warlock. Pretty close. Just let this guy sit like so. See how we do for getting level. Actually, it needs to be shifted that way a little bit. That's good. As long as it stays there, that's good. Let that sit for a bit. Second alt, right? Yeah, I played the DK for just a tiny bit this morning. Basically did the world bosses. Nazjatar boss gave me gold, and then I got a ring from the Veil boss. Oh, in search of followers and primes and views. Am I ever so glad. Me do an adjustment here. How can I get that off my screen? Adds a little working they need to fix what the UI looks like. Actually, this would be a Streamlabs thing. Oh, there we go. Banned by me. Bugger. One thing I noticed is adjust this. I don't need that, but this for this aspect, I want it to come over here, and we can make it a little bigger. Cool. Done and done. See how that looks. Knock that back out. All right. So let's see where our pile of glue is at. Still running. So now's a good time. Check to see how we line up. Very well. So we're good there. This thing actually has a little bit of glue on it, so it's trying to mess with me. So just double checking, that looks straight enough. So, while we're bored with that, guess one thing could do. So, the launch lug, which we've already drawn a line for, this guy here, they recommend, and I, as well, and turn this into 2. So, all right, turn it into 2, huh? That looks about center. Bam. And of course, the other piece goes flying off into oblivion. All right. And so we got our 2 there. Not exactly half, but close enough. Do those later. Oops. So, yeah. So you might go turn your warlock into your main. Yeah, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. The shit. How many years have you played on that thing? What is your slash played on your warlock? How about that? I know my paladin says something like, well, I think it was a week ago, said it was 192 days and some handfuls of hours. Be interesting what your lock slash played time is. Glue, 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 glue. Views, follows. Yay! Sticky popsicle sticks. I need more. Grab some more of those. Pile of popsicle sticks. Rumor is ignoring me. I demand statistics immediately. All right. Dispatch of 5 minutes. Still very, a little bit workable, but it's close. It is close. Can't see it too well probably, but so it's currently, I can scoop it up. It's staying stringy. I can mash it down, but trying to make it spread, it will probably stay where you put it. It wouldn't flatten out too much or anything. Maybe a little bit, depending on weight, its own weight and stuff. But it's getting close. Would not put that on a start of something. That's for sure. A couple more minutes on that. Should be good to flip it to go to the next one. Then, once the 4th fin is on here and drying, then what I'm going to do is get my hands good and clean. And I think I'm going to go grab some warm water and we'll attempt to put the decal on this other rocket. So I wanted to get that done. Once that's done, then the whole thing can get a clear coat put on it, and now we're ready to rock and roll. Welcome to the chat room. Was there a little bit of a disconnect? Or was that just from me having to do some click stuff? And what? This one here? This one? That one? Those ones? This one? I want to know which rocket you're talking about. The one right there, white nose. White nose. So this one here, this kit, according to the directions, would take a C11 with a 3-second delay, a D12 with a 3-second delay, an E9 6, or an E9 4 even. So C, D, E motors, something that you could buy, assuming they still stock these things. Hobby Lobby would have them. Me, it would be a D12 or an E9 that would go in this. If I do a D motor, I would use this along with the D motor. I basically would pop it up inside the engine mount and then put the D motor in as a spacer to make things fit proper where things are set. Inside of this motor tube, there's actually a ring that's a stop. So the motor, can only go so far, because with these, they don't really stick out wider of the motor mount. So there's actually a ring inside of it to prevent it from going forward. And then the retainer prevents it from going backwards whenever it does the ejection charge. But because it's basically designed to be able to support up to an E9, so it's like this long. A D12 is about that long. That's where this guy comes in, the spacer. So you shove that up in there, and then put the D motor behind it, and things are good. Or you just use an E. Difference? An E9 would be stronger in terms of the impulse that it's putting out, but I think a D12 would actually burn longer. So it actually might result in a higher flight. I actually would have to throw it through the simming software and see what the expected altitudes would be, but it'd shoot it up there pretty good. Nothing too fancy. This is just a hobby rocket. It was $30 kit, I think, something like that. Nothing too fancy. You want to see fancy? Well, this guy here that's drying, he could be classified as fancy. That's where this is the bottom half of this guy here. So you put those two pieces together and I'll make the whole thing. But this dude here, not even out of the bag yet. This is going to be a cool build. Trying to get up on there. I don't know if you can see it very well. I can't see it very well. But That flat piece of wood right there that has like the square looking holes, that's a electronics bay sled. And this will be a dual deploy rocket. It'll have an altimeter in it, and basically there's bottom half, and then right here, I know it's hard to see, but you actually might too, but there's a line right here. This is a electronics bay. So this will have, that sled will be bolted together on both ends and sealed. With that electronics in here, I'll have powder cups on both sides of this for the ejection charges. And that will, basically using that, the altimeter uses barometric pressure to sense when a launch has occurred, and it will be able to use the reading of the ground of the barometric pressure to know when it's up and whenever, and based upon how that pressure amount is changing and how quickly, it's able to figure out when the rocket is going up and leaning over. Whenever a rocket leans over like this, basically it's used up all of its energy, so it gets to this point before it falls. And at this point, right here, it will do an ejection to send the fin can, the bottom section of it off. Then it'll fall. And it'll keep falling until a determined altitude that I set. Normally, 1,000 feet. I'll probably go 700, actually, just because. But 1,000 feet, 700, 500, whatever that may be, it's going to fall quickly. No parachute at this point. Some people put a streamer on, or even a tiny parachute. I'll probably have nothing, maybe a streamer just to help visibility or something like that. But once it gets to that altitude that I set between 500 and 1,000 feet, then the nose cone will blast off and pull the main chute out, which will be a larger chute, and that will then allow it to fall slowly at that point and land. And then I don't have to walk 6 miles. Maybe a quarter mile, half mile. But, all right, look at this. This stuff has cured. Oh boy. I actually pulled a good bit with it. Awesome. Just cleaning my tray off at this point. Take it with you. Come on, you can do this. Yeah. Cleaned up enough. Get this wadded crap. Goodbye, popsicle stick. So, that, switch him over to here, and we will do more. More! If I can actually hold it in my hand, damn. Alright. Air bubbles. Guess that doesn't want to go on. Come on. Well, I might have just glued that tube of glue shut. Don't matter. I got plenty of it. It's got a little drops of 5-minute placed on here, and mixing it up. We're gonna get this last stupid fin on. Then, like I said, I want to try to get my hands cleaned up pretty good, and get some warm water and see if we can actually successfully apply a decal. And that's exactly, that's funny because that's exactly what it is. It's Gorilla Glue. It definitely works and stuff. I'm not complaining about that, but I do not like their cover for the applicator. It would be nice if it was actually kind of had a shape to it to kind of tell you which way was forward and backwards instead of trying to put it on there and then going, oh, this is not fitting. And then by that time you have some glue. Well, some of the, I mean, you can mix it a little bit on there, which then, you know, seal the damn thing on there. That sucks. All right, you got some glue. See if it's going to slip in here. Oh, there's a little bit of a break. Cheap ass wood. Yeah, I love balsa wood. This is where I should have followed rule number 1. All right. Emergency. Sit still. All right. See if it does better with that. There we go. Just a little too tight of a fit. Good old-fashioned emergency surgery. And then let's take and get him righted. Which I think that's pretty good to me. So now it's waiting for this guy to cure. And I'm not even bothering using their did you get it right bit, because at this point it doesn't matter too much. If that guy looks like he's up and down, then everything else is lining up pretty good. Then we'll be mixing up another batch and putting in some good beads of glue along all the edges. But for right now, let's just get it tacked in place. Then we can worry about that. So once he's tacked in place, I'll be able to move him. It'd be cool if I can move him now, actually, because he needs to sit. I don't know how this will work with this guy. The way the camera angle is, might have to bounce that around a little bit, but definitely need to make some room. So, where can I make some room? I can put this stuff away. So we know what we needed. And good spot for this stupid thing to go. Good spot for it to go, be back in the freaking house. But right now, ain't gonna hurt nothing being right here. And take this guy. sketchiated. That's pretty good. That's good for a model rocket. Anything else? Better be launching. Better be part of NASA. All right. So get this glue set up over here. That out of the way. That out of the way. Start piling shit up. Why not? So that glue, got it all up in the corner here. We can check on it in a few minutes. I'm just going to see how this looks bringing this over here. Because, yeah, it's a little close on the, with the camera thing here. But it's pretty good. We can take and, gonna get a little jiggly. Bring it up, try to point it. That's good enough. Good enough for how it's going to be. So launcher lugs right here. All right, on this side. So I'm going to look for doing it right here. I do want this spun a little bit more. That's good. Don't really have any room for the decal with the water though. But that's okay. Figure that shit out as we go. Let's see here. Clean hands. So, get clean hands. The first thing we're going to do, take a good shot of acetone. Just trying to get my hands good and cleaned up. Make sure you get a good big old hit of it. All right. Come right here. Not gonna do anything with all this garbage. There, that belongs right here. Got that all cleaned off. All right. So, happy fun time. So this is going to go over here. Take a pair of these, cut them up with a little bit better of a rag. Just making a rag. All right. Good fresh rag. Again, I've said it a few times over the last several streams I've done while working on this stuff. Every rag I have is my kids' old socks and underwear, laundered before they come out here. I hope. But good use for them. All right. So that V2, that glue is just starting to set. So it has a little bit of time before it's called good on that front. I am going to run and grab some warm water to attempt to put the decal on this guy. And it's going to be a little interesting view because you're going to see me trying to put this thing on, but you're going to see it from the actual small camera here, trying to finagle it. It's been a very long time since I've applied a decal. One of these anyway. I mean, I don't know, 10 years maybe. But we got one. We tried one last weekend, I want to say, last Friday, and the directions said you're supposed to use their sealer on it. My dad was like, I've never used their sealer. We've never done anything like that. We printed it and we put them on. Okay. So I argued that I had a memory that I thought we did something else, but when I had to go do it, threw the thing in the water, and I'm looking at the ink, and I'm going, man, it looks like it's rising. Yeah, okay, whatever. And I went to get the decal up, and I literally watched the entire image go right off of it into the water. I'm like, yep, something ain't right there. So I don't have a picture in my setup out here to show, but my dad has a rocket, one of his first large rockets that he built. It's called Oh Boy. And it's painted just like this. That's why I did this one. This is the son of Oh Boy, or SOB for short. And so I had a decal, son of Oh Boy. And that's what we're going to cut out and apply on this guy about right here. And so what I did is, after I printed this and I gave it a couple days to dry, I sprayed clear coat on it. So hopefully the ink and everything is now sealed. So we'll get some water, we'll cut the excess off of that guy, and we'll give it a go here. So hang tight, I'll be right back. This is where I need intermission music. warm water, casserole dish, and rag. All right. So, first things first. Let's go ahead and check the glue over here. It's very close. Not quite there, but very, very, very close. Let's see. I'm going to move some stuff around here real quick. Just try to make some room. Got too much stuff piled up everywhere. From working on various things and want to open it up a tad. Because I think what I'm really going to want to do is get this stuff right here. We'll set it over here out of the way. All the popsicle sticks. It goes over here, there. The glue can go right here. And we're going to move this guy also. Like so. And we will turn our camera. Just give it a straight on look and view. And there. Let's get this set up right there just like that. So, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut off the excess of this decal. And because we don't need all of it, there we go. So, come around. And I'm just cutting off the sharp corners at the moment. Just a little bit of cleanup. So instead of being a full sheet of paper, it's now just this. Hopefully good enough. Like I said, it's been a real long time since I messed with a decal. And this is already attempt number 2. So I'm going to take the warm water and put it in my dish right here. I think that's enough. Some more for good measure. Why not? Alright. So I've looked at the instructions recently. So that's where there's a little bit of faith in this. Get the rocket situated a little bit more how I want it. Take and we're going to wet the area to apply this. So it's going to be this whole general area. Right here, just getting a thin layer of moisture on here. Alright, Go time. So we dropped the decal into the water. The curling is supposed to happen. Let's let that set for a second. Minute. They say don't let it set in there for more than a minute. I'm going to give it a little bit of time. Okay, it's movable, so I'm going to let the excess drain off. I'm going to lay this guy here like so. Just trying to get it started. A little bit of a seal up there. Then I'm going to lift this off. That's still attached there. All right. The backing is out of the way. Ooh, crap. It tore. Oh no. That's okay. This is why we put water underneath. So that way it has some mobility, workability. And I'm just using my fingers to squeegee it around. Basically, once you have this thing set where you want it and you're happy with it, you set it off to the side and you don't touch it for a long time, like next weekend time. And you know, it's not 1,000% straight, but I believe it is where it's going to live. Because then what happens after a week, and this thing's been fairly dried, I'll clear coat the whole rocket, and that will seal the decal against the rocket, basically. So that worked out. So I need to tell my dad that, yeah, we clear coat these things before you apply them. You know, just take and dab around, just trying to remove some excess moisture. But yeah, there was that one little tear right here, but I was able to shift it enough to make it so it's not nothing like going, oh man, it's ruined. Pretty good. Pretty good indeed. So now that's done. water can come up over here out of the way. This is garbage. Slimy. Our wet rag. Where should the wet rag go? Yeah, right here. The water in this dish. That can come up over here. And then we're going to take Son of Oh Boy here and let him bounce right there for L second. And our pretty much dry rag. Just go around, see. Alright. That's cleaned off, so we can bring this guy back over here. Our launch lugs, spacer can stay over here. We'll need a parachute. And let me readjust how I think this was. That's going to be a fun thing. How was it? How do I think it was, right? And with that cleared off over there, oops, I can sit there. Put oh boy over here on the table. And he will sit there until next weekend. And that time he'll get clear coated. Yay! This guy, these things are well good and dried. Sits there like so. You can bring fancy workable rigging, I guess you'd call it. So what we're going to do here is basically get this launch lug lined up into the center. It's pretty good. All right. So we can come back to our glue. Yep, that's pretty good. Hard it up. So glad the decal's done. That's cool. Getting low on coffee. That's not cool. So let's see here. From earlier work, there's that lava Gorilla Glue. That's a chunk now. See if I can get this cleaned off. I think that's pretty good. Buy a popsicle stick. Good old-fashioned rag. So what I'm going to do now is a couple things. One, it will be attaching the launch lugs along this line, and then The other step will be starting fillets for the fins. Now, thing is, you don't want your glue running out, so to prevent that, we just put some blue tape attached to the fin and to the airframe. That way, if gravity wants to try to make it go up and over the edge, it can't, because the tape will stop it. And keeps your glue where you want it. These fillets don't have to be huge, but you do want to make sure that you've given yourself enough tape to stop what you're putting down. There. You'll have to do this 1, 2, 3, 4 times for each side of the fin. So, 5-minute land. Where are you? Right here you are. That's probably enough. Well, it's more than enough to do one side for sure. But I get 2 done with this. It's a pretty decent air bubble in there. I think I'm just going to squirt this stuff out and call this tube done. Get another tube. And I could go 30 minutes, but that's a lot of waiting. Don't want to wait that long. Yeah, about half of that was an air bubble. So, we're going to squirt this stuff out, mix it up, and we're going to get the launch lugs attached and the fillets on these, and 2 fillets done. Or the fins. Just go ahead and use it all up. Use it all up. Now in this step, we're literally just attaching the launch lug. So put one right about here. I'll put another one right about here. This one ended up with a pretty good smack amount of glue. Probably too much. That's okay. And we'll do the big one right here. So just setting it on top and pushing it down. And we're using the guideline right here to just visually say, okay, it's centered. And same thing for up here. And as long as our line is truly a straight line, then the rod will go right in. I mean, we can sit here and come down and look and say, hey, does this line up? And it does. So just let that stuff sit. And because it is a cardboard, basically, I mean, it's all cardboard, that glue is getting soaked in. So it's, bonding pretty well. Then we can take the rest of this stuff and get a good glob and just come up, not even all the way up to the very beginning, but just start dropping some in. And to make it fair, Do the same amount on both sides. And we spread it around. Gravity will bring it down. Kind of fill in. Hopefully it doesn't start running out the bottom. If it does, we'll have to pay attention to that. But doing this all the way around is going to make these the connection between the airframe and the fins good and strong. And that's what you want. You want all this to be good and strong. And they don't have to come all the way down to the very bottom. But definitely want to get as much as you can. Now I'm going to push this in right here, just trying to bring it up closer to the tip. And then just kind of, tapping down around, just moving this a little bit. It's going to move on its own, but it'll move downhill, gravity. So, depending on how everything's laying out, we might have to just give it a little oomph to get up in there. But there. That's good. Just let that sit. And we could try to actually bring this end up, get some more up in there. Touch the tape. The tape will peel off from this. And then you can sand it, correct it, stuff like that. My hope is that as it got, just the tip. The whole thing, it goes in back here. Get a little more up in that direction. Because we can use Mr. Dremel to clean the ends up. So far that's sitting good. There's a little bit of a runoff on this side. I mean, so minute. Clean right off on the other end here. And with that, we can just clean it off. That's the one nice thing, if you remember to actually take and, you apply some stuff and you have your popsicle stick. If you wipe it off right away, that was a weird graphical bug right there. Yeah, what's up with that? I wonder if is that being seen on stream? Or is that just my machine? If you want to know what I'm talking about, the camera was going nuts on my preview. Didn't look like the small one, but the main overall room one. You saw that too? That was weird. No idea what that was about. There's no vibration, there's no noise. The only thing I was doing was cleaning my stick. Maybe that's what caused it. Cleaning my stick on stream. It freaked out, man. So that part's done. So still tiniest bit tacky. That's alright. We can mess with this now. So this piece goes into, while we wait for this stuff to dry, goes into this bad boy. Hey, he's doing it again. Right now, the fridge is running. It hasn't done that before. Twitch banned. Yeah, so the small one's not doing it, it's just the large one. Wonder why.
Actually, it feels like there's a little bit of heat coming off of this this camera. It's an old ass life cam. I mean, it hasn't moved. I'm gonna move it around a little bit. See if maybe that helps. No? That's fucked up. Wait, you're seeing that on the stream, huh? Well, oops a daisy. I broke it. Gotta minimize chat for a second here. Back to this guy. Let's see if that helps at all. I don't know. Yeah, it's fucked up. But then again, so my machine basically died again. I did a BIOS reset on it, and I was able to bring it back to life. So I'm using my old tower again for right now. So, you know, see how that goes from there. But I have a feeling that in my future, I don't need no big ass tower thing like what I got here, which was what my old machine was. But I'm gonna get something small that can handle, basically 2 webcams being put into it, and there's that. Because with the thing, it's been moved over just a tad. And then bring in the you gotta turn it. Turn, you bastard. So this camera here, I just got that yesterday in the stand for this to help with the close-up view. The come on. Got this thing repositioned. Good enough. So because I was using my phone as basically an IP camera originally, but doing so, one, it drains the battery on your phone very quickly, and two, if I need to use my phone, someone's messaging me in the middle of this or something, I'm not using it. Well, like, Sean.
Would you humiliate myself like this? If it served your purpose, yes. What must I do to convince you people? Die.
Yep, that's good. Let's see here. There's that. Actually, there's some things on here. Got a delivery made today. All right. Anyway, so yeah, I bought this cheap ass little camera and this stand, which I was like, oh yeah, it mounts to it with a webcam. Well, only if the webcam has a 1/4 inch mounting hole on it, kind of like what main camera DSL cameras have and stuff like that. I guess some webcams have that. Not this one. So this one has been affixed with zip ties. And well, hey, you can see it's working well. I got to clip the ties actually. Where are my clips at? Yeah, these ones will works. Might as well do that right now. So this will move around a little bit. Oh, a lot.
You get motion sickness, take your Dramamine. Here. Yay! All cleaned up. But we gotta fix the adjustment here. See if we get a good shot. There's a good shot. I think that's good. Hey, look, this thing shifted. Glad I saw that. Moving with the glue. And we got a little bit more runoff down in here. Which this stuff is kind of set. So that will get buried in a layer on this side. I was still able to move that on this one, so that's good. That would have sucked to have not noticed that. So, but that should still sit for a little bit yet and get a good cure. I mean, it's, you can see that it's, you know, globbing up, not very workable, almost like a gel balling up. Sounds like my delivery's here. I hear someone backing up. But that's pretty close, a few minutes off. But, so anyway, this guy needs to go up in this guy. A little bit of a rough fit. So, a couple things. One, there's a little bit of a burr on the inside of this airframe. So, I'm going to go ahead and just remove that. Sanding outward, flatten it on the inside, and right over the top edge. So, for funsies and future knowledge, I'm going to put the letter A on two sides in here. And then on this side, I'm going to put an F with an arrow pointing towards the top. That'll just remind me, because you know I can do this and this with this, that I'm not messing with this end. That's for the nose cone. Then I'm messing with this end for this. And that helped a lot right there. But there's a little bit of glue from the table on this thing. So just going to sand the whole thing down and move this stuff off of it. Just that little tiny layer. Does not take much. And I am using 120 grit. right now for this. So it's pretty abrasive. You know, it's removing a bit of material. And then, you know, if you want, come back and hit it with 220 and higher and all that good stuff. Ever had one set crooked? Have what set crooked? I moving along too much thinking stuff like that. So what item is crooked? Launch lug? If you're talking about this thing right here, no, because those are something that you should pay attention to. Have I seen people with them crooked? Yes. And so basically, what would happen, say in something like this where you had one crooked, well, as soon as you started your rocket down the rod, then you would have to kind of bend that rod to get it into your other one. So now it's going to bind. Having a crooked fin, yes, I have had fins where one's been leaning a little bit more. The hell was that? That was Alexa. Cancel. Letting me know that the delivery was made. Yes, I've had a fin where it's been not perfectly straight in comparison to other fins. What that does is just like a ceiling fan or any fan. That blade is tilted, then instead of air coming straight down it, the air is getting hit brought to the side, which then creates spin. So you try to keep them as straight as you can, obviously. But if one's off a little bit, then yeah, you can get a little bit of spin in there. Or it can create drastic spin if it's that bad, which hopefully it's never that bad. But shit happens, right? So here I got 220 grit sandpaper. Just gonna use a little bit of this to go back over this thing again to give it a little bit more of a finish sanding on it. Because right now, the 120 just kind of roughed it up pretty good. And that's fine. We want to, this thing still has a little bit of acetone on here somewhere, a little bit of dampness somewhere. The acetone dries up pretty good, but this is not going to get glued in. This will be attached with rivets. So I could glue it in, but if I use rivets, that does technically give me an option to change the configuration of the rocket. Before, that thing was a real pain to fit in here, and it's pretty good now. So with this one, now you're gonna make a liar out of me. There you go. I'll put it in about that far, and then it'll rivet 4 rivets in this thing, and what that will do is that will be what connects. So here's the other end of the parachute. That cable right there will get hooked to this eye, and then will come into here. Of course, it's not going to fit because I have this thing hanging out, but that's what will connect the 2 pieces together. And whenever this thing flies up, the parachute, the nose cone, is going to be riveted as well. It won't come out. When the ejection charge happens, this thing will separate right here, and the parachute will be in the middle of the two pieces. Here you. All right. So, yeah, you know, however much you want to have leaving out, it's really just, whatever you want to do. I mean, obviously, the shorter you have of something like this, the more potential there is for it to unbind. So having it, long helps give it movement in a straight line to come out. So I am looking for, just use my square. Let's see. Set it at 9. So I imagine this thing is 8 inches. I was going to say 6. I would have been wrong. So 8 inches, 4 is the middle. So we'll just give each side half. And you can't really, bend it this way or that way, so you don't need to have a mark going all the way around or anything like that. And see, that's why I had my F on here, so I would not worked out. That's not what I've been working with. So bam. Just like so. So then I know from here I have 4 inches coming up. So I mean I could take and if I wanted to make marks around this at 4 inches up, telling me, okay, there's the top of this coupler tube. So I know not to go past that because that's going to not work out for what I'm doing here. But no real need to do that at this stage. But what I can do is take this off because I need a big old globbin of glue in the bottom of this to make it super strong. And unfortunately, it's just a tad bit taller than my hunk of tape there. So now we grab another hunk of tape. See that in the view there? So, bam. Custom made fit. But what we can do, since that, bring that over here. Yeah, that glue is, everything's pretty good on that now. I'm not going to bother taking the tape off, just for, safety's sake. Not even safety, I mean, shit, if I want to take the glue off, the tape off, I could. It wouldn't hurt nothing. But, so, I'll have to find another tube of my 5-minute stuff, which I will in the bed is in the house. Let me check back here for my reserves. See, that's tire patching, wood glue. Must be in the house. That's okay. Go ahead and get rid of that stick. And we'll come back to this one. Alright. Actually, can I get all this to pop out? Pretty close to it. Give me a second here to try to clean some of this junk out of here. That's good. Popsicle 6. I'm getting sacrificed left and right. Alright. So, we're going to go 30-minute with this guy. And I'm just going to dump a bunch in. Can't really go too wrong with more or less on this. You don't want to skimp with this thing, because this is one of the items that's going to be taking the brunt of an injection charge. So we want this to be good and strong. That's enough. That's just about what we did for when we were doing the initial gluings for the main for the motor mount. Blah 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 blah. All right. So now 20. There's 40. Start squeezing. Almost there. That might put us there. Yep. If that doesn't put us there, once it settles, it's close enough. And I got 2 more bottles of this stuff, which should, well, the only thing left to really glue are the fins. And those I'm going to probably not stream, because it's all going to be 30-minute work. So it's going to be drawn out big time for doing all the fins. I might do 5-minute for setting them like I did with this guy, but we'll see. Or it might just be a short stream doing some of that. We'll see. But right now, we need to get this stuff mixed up. One way to know that this stuff has been good and mixed is you'll start feeling the warmth from it. It'll get pretty warm. It's almost 1 o'clock. Big ass air bubble. Got some old stuff sticking to me. I have to call off work tomorrow. I can't type, everything's stuck to me. But yeah, now you can see how right now this stuff just runs. And it'll be like that for a good while. That's why 30-minute epoxy is nice. It's not necessarily a stronger bond, it just gives you that much more time to work. And since I'm using 5 minutes so much with this stuff, might as well just, dump it in here, let it do its thing, call it good. So, with that, see, can I get do it just like this. Vicious. Like so. Here. Just going to drop it in there. Not even paying attention to what I'm doing, just dropping it all in there. So I don't care. It's going to go where it wants to go based on gravity. And that's really where I want it to go. It's still running. It's kind of like I have to drop it down. The like when you're dumping the oil out of a pan, right? That last little bit, you know that if you left it sit in the pan, it's going to pull up and be a bit. Well, here we are. There's a little bit of a glob that made it. I think that's good. I'll try to scoop some more out here in a second. But I'm sticking the damn cardboard. Now we can see, if you look at the top, you can see how that looks different than the rest. That's because it's all pulled at the bottom because of how I'm holding this at an angle. So just going to turn it around. And you can actually probably see the stuff running. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get it down like that so it pulls up. Then just rotate. Because what I'm doing now is I'm getting it up the airframe in comparison to where I want it. And by doing that, whenever I put this thing straight up and down again, that'll just run down. So you see that, you see there's a dark ring around the plywood in there, and that's actually the airframe getting wet from the glue. I'm also covering the nut that's on the eye bolt, and that's probably a solid 3/16 inch layer of epoxy in there. So if this thing goes anywhere, there's bigger issues going on. And just set it up off to the side. Actually, yeah, right there's fine. It just needs to be mostly level. Any minute unlevelness there ain't gonna hurt shit. But there is a nice blob of glue down here still. I'm gonna scoop it up, just drop it in. You can't see it from the camera. Nope, not from the close-up, but from the far side, I'm just getting this excess out of here because it's not going to hurt being down in there. And, well, less wasted. Still a lot of glue in there, but alright. That should be good. Just take and spin a hard press ring around this, getting out what excess I can on the stick, throwing it away. Whatever else is left in there can hang out. And I don't need to check it for dryness or anything like that. It's going to sit for a long time at this point and call it good. Sticky hands. Oh boy. More acetone. This can is dated 2009. So, 11 years worth of acetone in there. I don't know if I got that can off my dad or if I bought it and I've had it for 11 years now or what. Either way, fumes are still potent. Yeah, bugs. Do one of those things, right? Does this chloroform smell good to you? Yippee. All right. That's there. That's that. So, cool. Well, I am going to take a break. Been, well, 3 hours. Feels like it's been longer than that, but it's only 1 o'clock. So yeah, it's been about 3 hours. Um, but I mean, we got that sitting over there. I have to go hunt down another tube of my 5 minute, and so go in the house at that point. And we've already done it once here. It's going to be the same deal. Do it through the other sides. Um, Actually, it's dry enough that. Then the only other thing is once I have the fillets done on all this all the way around, and I'm going to drop some right here between the tube and the airframe to help seal that up, just to keep it all stronger and stuff like that. Then it'll be probably a little bit of a sanding cleanup, not too much, and then it'll be ready for paint. And like I said, I think I'm going to mock up a drawing of this and have DJ pick the colors because he likes doing that. And so it gets him a little bit involved without doing the technical aspects of it. Because the kid loves to do everything that I do. So I don't like that runoff though. I'm going to see if I can actually cut this out real quick. Yeah, cool. So this little tiny glob, from dropping the fillet here, there was enough of a gap that it was able to run and bunch up a little bit right here. So I just cleaned that up. Probably had the same issue over here. Yeah, you see, I can stick this through. So I'll need to, and there's a little spot right here as well. So I'll have to tape up the opposite side to make sure it doesn't run out. Uh-oh, supervisor alert. Nothing. I was just wrapping up.
I think what I need some
What do you need?
paints. Yeah,
Well,
that one.
you either got those or these.
Okay.
There you go. Yep. Those lugs are firmly in place, so. All right. Well, I'm gonna do a little bit more cleanup here and go see what's going on around the house with others. It sounds like Chris, the wife, is about to let the kid do a little bit of painting on something. And so I think at this point in time, might be a little bit of video game time for me as well. I do know some families going over to my parents, and we are going to head over there because they are going to have various foods and stuff like that. All right. Have fun at the gym, dude. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. And we'll see you. We going to try to do keys tonight? Later? Something like that? If Fig is still in the chat, he's probably like, keys? Keys? Keys-a-roni? The Warcraft treat? No Fig. So, but yeah, do you think you're going to try to game later? All right. Bet. Well, I want to too. I think, well, we think we did a key. earlier this week. An 8 or a 9, maybe. I took my 9 and burned it down, and now I have a 9 siege again. So, yeah. We'll have to figure it out, but yeah, we'll definitely need to. We will have to try to get a 10 done minimum. Um, so I know I'm pretty sure there's 3 9s amongst our group right now. So one of them has to get timed, which shouldn't be too big of an issue. And then after that, it's trying to do whatever, I guess. Yeah, my 9, but like I said, my 9, Fig has a 9. It's on. I think Fig and Bowen both have 9 underrots. I was a 9 Temple, and I burned that down to a 7 for Phoenix, and we ran that with him. But because we plus 2'd it, I now have a 9 Siege, which would be good for Fig and your Rogue too, I think. I think there might be something in there for you. I think you got the trinket. If you haven't gotten it, no, you got the cannon from TD. So now it's I think there's another trinket in there for you or a weapon. I think everyone has a one-hander in there. I think. I don't know. Look at your damn gear and figure it out. All right, folks. Take it easy. I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by. Till next time. Don't think I didn't see you lurking in there, Cordy. Fucking saw you. You've been in there since like the beginning. My girl, always lurking. Speaking of girl, I want some pics of Kenzie. Haven't gotten anything recently, so. Alright. Switching off. Peace.